Welcome to the Inspiring Stories. I'm so excited because I have Sohail Khan in the house, and I came across Sohail when I was on Clubhouse Breakfast for Winners, and Sohail was a special guest, the honorary guest of Ashley Shipman, and he shared the most captivating story. I felt like Sohail, it should have been a movie. Like if it was a movie, I would just be riveted to that story. And so I thought I have to bring him on this podcast to share that with my audience as well. So welcome, Sohail.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, great to be here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So obviously, this interview is around speaking and people sharing their story. So in order to start you off, a question I'll ask you is, how did you get to do what you're doing today? And Sohail, what's your story?
Good question. My story, that's my whole life is a story. And like you say, we can definitely make a movie from this story. So I originally started off life as a management consultant when I was a lot younger. In my culture, our parents wanted us to become successful in a profession as they do, either a lawyer, doctor, dentist, or astronaut. I was afraid of heights, so I didn't go down that route. I was very good at numbers and maths at school. I was a proper geek. So I went down the route and studied as a management accountant, then became a management consultant. Got a really good job in one of the top 5 management consultant firms in London. And while I was working there, I was actually there for the first 6 months, and it started to feel really strange. I was sitting in an office working 9 to 5, and what kept on coming into my thoughts were, is this what life is really all about? Is this how life is? You come, you clock in, you clock out, you go, and is that life? And I wasn't really enjoying working in an office environment. I always thought to myself, there must be more to life out there. And one of the things I did when I was working there is I used to help people. And if you know a lot about me, my ethos in life has always been give first, ask later. I'm a giver. I love to give as much as I can. And that's what I've always done in my life. So a lot of the times I spent there, I was helping people use this new thing called the internet. So there was this new thing called the internet, and people were trying to figure out what it was. And there I was helping people use computers and the internet. And my supervisor said, you know what, you really glow, and I see you smile when you're helping people use the computers and use the internet. How come you never got into that field? And I was like, well, that's a good question. I said, I guess I did what my parents wanted me to do and studied down that route. So I was there for a couple of months, and my supervisor said, you're really good at this, and I'm surprised you didn't pursue it. So I decided to leave a high-paid job and pursue a career in IT, information technology. So I did a master's in IT with international business. And one of the things I did, I wrote a thesis on the impact of the internet on the manufacturing industry. Now, when the internet first launched back in sort of 96, it was brand new. It was totally new. And everyone was thinking, what's the impact's going to be of this thing called the internet? So little known to me, my professor posted my thesis online. Now, if you're as ancient as I am, you probably know before search engines, we had things called bulletin boards. So we didn't have any search engines back then. So my professor posted my thesis online onto bulletin boards, and people were reading it. Venture capital firms, .com companies, corporations. And I was getting emailed from these companies saying, look, we're really interested in having you come out and talk to us about how we can use this thing called internet for our business. So there I was, straight after out of my master's, going and consulting for a lot of companies. And one of my first clients was a company called QVC.com, as you all know, one of the biggest shopping channels in the world. And one of the things that I did before I went out to see them is I did a case study. Basically, what I did was I created a one-page website. I created some computer training courses via PDFs. We attached it to a shopping cart. And basically in 98, when Google was launched, we were ranked number 1, first page of Google, because obviously it was very early on. So we started getting a lot of sales and orders coming in through this website. And basically we were e-commerce specialists, e-commerce gurus, basically. So there I was going out to these companies, doing a lot of consulting, showing them how to work the internet and how to make money to use this thing called e-commerce. So we had a great run from 98 to 2000. We were making so much money. It was unbelievable, because it was the dot-com bubble, the dot-com boom. And a lot of companies were spending money. we were charging between, actually we were getting paid between 20,000, 40,000 per contract, per consulting contract. So helping them with e-commerce, marketing, SEO, and it was amazing. And but then what happened? We had 2000, and two things happened. Two fundamental things happened in the year 2000. Not only the dot-com bubble burst, but we also had Y2K. So we had a double whammy. Number one, we lost a lot of our clients. And number two, because we were computer consultants, we were to blame for Y2K. So no one wanted to work with computer consultants. So early 2000, we had to make a decision. Now, it's very similar to what's happening right now. When something like that happens, you need to pivot, right? So we had to think, look, what else have we got that we can leverage? So you always look at what you have, okay, in terms of how can you make the best of what you have? So we had this small little website making us a couple of $1,000s a week. And it was a computer training website, and people would just go online, they select a couple of courses, they're just PDF courses, and they would download these manuals. So we said, look, let's focus on trying to build this into a real business. And then in early 2000, I came across a great book, and you might want to write this down. It's called How to Get Everything You Can Out of All You've Got, by a guy called Jay Abraham, who's actually one of my mentors. And in the book, Jay spoke about something called joint ventures. And he said, you can easily approach a company, get them to promote, endorse your product or service to their customers without any cost up front, and only pay them when they make sales. So I thought, wow, this is an interesting concept. So you're telling me I don't have to spend any money at all. Someone will do all the marketing and the promoting and the selling for me, and I only pay out anything on the sales. So I thought, I've got to try this. So early 2000, I basically contacted the largest IT recruitment company in Europe. They were based in Regent Street in London. And this is what I said to them. I said, if I can show you a way to create an additional revenue stream without increasing your overhead, would you be interested? And they said, yes. So I got invited to this company in Regent Street, very plush office in Regent Street, got into the building, and I got invited into a boardroom with all the directors. And they said, okay, look, tell us more about how are you going to help us create this additional revenue stream without increasing our overheads? What is it? So I said, it's simple. It's called a joint venture. I said, first of all, how many customers or how many clients do you have in your database? They said, we have over 100,000 IT professionals. I said, okay, that's good. So at the moment, I said, look, here's the thing. The IT recruitment sector is in a decline. So that is your main revenue and your income. Nobody's going out to recruit for computer consultants because we were to blame for Y2K. So I said, you're obviously losing business there. I'll show you how to create an additional revenue stream. And what we have is we have these computer courses that we sell online. Here are the stats. Here's the conversion rates that we do really, really well. It's all automated. If you promote that to your existing database of 100,000 IT professionals, if any of those guys buy, we'll give you a percentage, basically 50% for each one that they buy. And also, in terms of overheads, what are you currently doing right now marketing-wise? I said, well, we have a newsletter that goes out to our database. We send that every 2 weeks. I said, well, here's the thing. Just put a banner in the newsletter, promote our courses to your database. Anyone who purchases will give you 50% for doing absolutely nothing because you're already doing that. So that was the first ever joint venture that I did. And that joint venture was very successful. In the first year of this little computer training website we did, I think, $50,000-$60,000 turnover. But in the second year, our turnover went up from $60,000 to just under $400,000 with one joint venture partnership. And that was it. I was hooked. I thought, you know what an amazing way to make money, right? We didn't spend any money on marketing or advertising or anything. So fast forward to 2002, the whole landscape changed. People were wanting now video-based training. And this is amazing because that's 2002, right? We're in 2021 right now. How easy is it to create videos? How easy is it to create a video course? You just pop out your phone, create a video, upload it to YouTube, and you have a course. Back then, it wasn't as easy as that. It was very expensive. It would cost us about $10,000 per hour of e-learning modules. So our competitors had like over 150 courses with like 5-10 modules on each course. We did the calculation. We thought, look, we can't afford this. How are we going to compete with our competitors? So again, I turned back to the book. Jay spoke about something called licensing. He said you can basically go out and get access to the rights to someone's proven and tested product or service, and basically sell it as your own with a license because they've already done all the work. So I thought this is good. So I went over, I saw a company, I found a company in Clearwater in Florida, a multi-million dollar e-learning company, and they had already produced all the titles. So I contacted them and said, look, we want to supply your courses in UK and Europe, and we'd like to inquire about a license. And also we'd like it white labeled with our own logos on there. So they got back and they said, well, that's going to cost you $100,000. And I said, oh, I don't really want to pay anything, really. So I jumped on a plane, as you do. I flew to Clearwater, Florida, armed with $10,000. And I said, look, I'm going to try and do a deal. So this company was owned by a very successful female CEO. And when I got into her office, she was actually in the boardroom having a meeting. So I was waiting for her to come back, and I was sitting in this really beautiful office, a walnut desk, a beautiful walnut cabinet. I walked over to the walnut cabinet. I thought, okay, let me have a look and see what books she has in there. And she had books from Dan Kennedy, Joe Vitale, and guess what other books she had in her library? The book from Jay Abraham. Yeah, exactly. And I thought, okay, this is great, because she's going to understand when I talk about wanting to do a joint venture, she's going to get it spot on. So we sat down, we had a meeting, and I guaranteed her and I promised her that I would make her more than $100,000 in the next couple of weeks if she let us license her e-learning programs, her trainings. And I said, here's $10,000 as a goodwill payment. And then I flew back to the UK. That year, we did $1 million turnover, $1 million in sales. And the investment for that $1 million sales, guess what it was? $10,000. So this is exactly, so I'm all about leverage in life and in business. I'm all about leverage. I always try and find the leverage points that I can leverage and get the most out of what I already have. So that was it. We were now a 7-figure business. Fast forward to 2006. And I was reading a newspaper in the UK called the Fast Track 100, Sunday Times Fast Track 100. In that, it tells you the fastest 100 growing companies in different industries. So there was a company I found in there in the tech space. They were a computer hardware company. That was a 9-figure business, a couple of hundred million, a big group, and they had over 500,000 customers, computer hardware customers. So by then, we were a computer software online learning company. And I thought, this is an amazing match. They do computer hardware, we do software. Just imagine if we could install all our e-learning software on each PC that they sell. They sell millions of PCs. So again, I reached out to them. I said, look, hey, if I can show you a way to increase your revenue without increasing your overhead, would you be interested? They said, yes. Got a meeting. Went to their beautiful plush office, beautiful glass building, very successful company, all these fancy cars in the drive. Got right to the top of their penthouse. They had like a penthouse boardroom, unbelievable. It's like a scene out of Star Wars. Have you ever seen Star Wars in the Death Star? Luke Skywalker's battling Darth Vader at the end, and they've got this big, massive like window. You can see all the stars, exactly like that, and it was very cool. So I came into this boardroom, sat down. And then it was run by a family, a chairman and CEO, father and son. They sat down at the head of the table. I sat down at one end. I got up and started doing my pitch. 15 minutes into my pitch, I got stopped. And the CEO got up and said, Sohail, look, I'll be honest with you. We're not really interested in doing a partnership with you. And I sat down and I thought, oh dear. Have I said something? Have I upset them? Am I wearing something that's upset them? So while I was sitting there thinking, what's happened here? The chairman got up and said, Sohail, we're not actually interested in doing a partnership with your business. We're interested in buying your business. So then I was thinking, wow, I wasn't ready for that. By then I had 2 other partners. So I went back and said to my partners, hey guys, what do you want to do? They want to buy the business. So we didn't have an exit strategy that early on. Our exit strategy was later on. One of the things that we decided to do, which I regret today, and I'll tell you why, was we ended up selling a majority stake to them because they were a B2C, business to consumer. We were B2B. They just wanted to purchase us to get into the B2B sector. So we thought, look, they don't know nothing about the B2B sector. We do. This is our baby. So we don't want to lose it. So we're going to basically get involved. We're going to stay on, and we're going to do a part cash, part equity. So we gave them a majority stake. So there we were now, all of us sitting on the board of a 9-figure business. We all became multimillionaires. And as you do, what's the first thing you do when you become a multimillionaire? You go out and splurge, right? So when I was a lot younger, I'll tell you, I just wanted to be rich. That's all it was about. I wanted to be rich. Okay, I'm a lot wiser, a lot older now. I understand how money works, and I'm all about building wealth and future wealth rather than being rich. So there I was. as you do, you go out and you buy a 15-bedroom mansion in Hertfordshire. I bought a 15-bedroom mansion in Hertfordshire. Then I bought $1 million worth of cars. So I had all these cars on the drive, classic cars. I'm a big collector of classic cars. So there I was, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I've made it. And if you search Google, you can probably see the photos of the mansion and all the cars. It's posted somewhere online. And then that was great. And then in 2007, I stepped down as managing director to work on the business rather than in the business. And then we doubled the turnover. So it was a very successful business. I mean, our margins were like 95% because it was online software based. So it was a proper cash cow. Then my exit strategy was 2008. I was like, I'm going to stay here for another year. I'm going to cash out. And then I'm going to go and sit on some desert island somewhere. Just as long as it's got Wi-Fi, I'm going to sit there and think about what I want to do next. Right? I'm going to dip my feet in the nice ocean, blue ocean, and I'm just going to just chill. Then what happened in 2008? Well, we had the dreaded recession, and I still remember that day. We got called into the boardroom, and the board, which we were part of, they made a decision the day before that they were going to liquidate the whole group, which obviously my company was a part of. What happened was basically they were buying a lot of companies. They spent a lot of cash from the balance sheet, and they bought a lot of .coms, and they all were duds. Basically, most of them were duds. So they lost a lot of money. They had to get out of it. They had debt. So we were called in, and they said, well, we got an announcement. We're going to liquidate the group, but don't worry, because we're going to do what's called a Phoenix company. And a Phoenix company basically is when you take all the assets out of a company that you dump to start a new company and just transfer the assets. A lot of people do that, but it's more of a dodge, to be honest with you. It's not a true representation of how to do business. So they've been around for 25 years. We never, in our wildest dreams, imagined they would go bust. They would just disappear. So when that happened, the chairman said, "But don't worry, Sohail, we'll look after you. We're going to give you more shares in the new Phoenix company." And I was like, "Dude, look, if you did this to me without telling us what you were doing, why the hell would I work with you guys? Why would I be in a business relationship? I'm out." So I left the building, and I was like, "Oh God, what are we going to do now?" Because we had signed guarantees with the bank. So guess who the bank came after when the debts came on the table? The guy with the assets, the guy with the big mansion, and the guy with the $1 million worth of cars.
They just had to Google you. They just had to Google you, and there it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they came after me, and that was like, oh dear. Back then I'm not as wise as I am now in terms of protecting assets. So obviously, I was put in a position. I was about to be forced into bankruptcy. So I negotiated with the bank. I liquidated my assets, and we managed to get them off my backs. However, because I was still living that multi-millionaire lifestyle. I mean, for God's sake, come on, we had a private jet and everything, right? You look at Grant Cardone nowadays, you think this guy's cool, right? He's got a private jet. Yeah, we had a private jet. The group that I was part of, we had a private jet as well.
I should have known you back then, Sohail.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? But I tell you what, if you'd known me back then, I was just full of ego. It was all about cars. It was about cars, houses, money, women. That I was a different person back then. So you might have enjoyed your time with me, but
much probably not then. I like the Sohail now.
Exactly, yeah. I was a totally different person back then. So I was just very much ego driven. So so that happened, and I ended up moving back to my mum's house. And the funny thing is, I always tell this funny story that when I moved back home to my old bedroom, it was exactly like I left it. It was like my mum knew, mothers, right? That my mum knew that one day my son is going to come back home. So I know, it's funny. So there
She willed it, Sohail. I want my baby back.
Yeah, she manifested it. So I came back home, and I was in survival mode because I still had all these bills. I still had that same lifestyle. And it was a horrendous time because I went through a period of being depressed. I wouldn't say I was suicidal at all, but I was very depressed because I was like, I don't know what to do. And it's very hard to think straight when all you're thinking about is, I need to make sure that nobody finds me here, or nobody can get hold of me, all these bailiffs and whatever, bailiffs can be sometimes the nastiest people to deal with. So I had to think about what is it I need to do. So, and the thing that really hit me was this, right? And this is interesting. In the same area where my mother lived, all my old friends from college and university were living in the local area, and they all stayed in their jobs. They now got married, they had kids, they had their houses and their mortgages. That the only thing they would say to me was, well, you should have stayed in your job. You had a very successful job as a management consultant, and you shouldn't have become an entrepreneur. You shouldn't have gone down that route, because you would had more security in your job. Well, obviously, as we know today, that is not the case, right? There is no such thing as security anywhere, even in a job. So that was, for me, it was a double whammy. It was like, hey, come on, guys, no one's going to be sympathetic and say, look, what can we do to help you? Blah, blah, blah. No, I got none of that. They were just like, it's your fault. You should have stayed in your job. You had a great job. We all said, he's crazy. Why did he leave his job? Blah, blah, blah. Right. So that was, for me, it was like, oh man, what's going on here? I'm getting no support. So I decided to get away from the noise. And I am a spiritual person, but my spirituality was awakened when this thing happened, right? I've been meditating since I was 5, but I was really awakened by this tragedy. So I said, look, I need to go somewhere where there's no noise. So I ended up basically in a monastery. Yeah. So I said, look, I've got to be somewhere where I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't really want to see anyone. I need to sit down and I need to just focus and think, what do I do now? So one of the things I learned while being at this monastery was I learned to control my thoughts, right? Because one of the things that we were taught is that thoughts become things. And one of the things that I'm really, really super grateful for was, and this is going to sound really woo-woo, like film stuff, right? I have the ability to be able to live in the confines of my mind. What does that mean? That means if the whole world crumbled around me right now, I would be at peace in here, right? So I could do it. I could do it in short bursts. I didn't stay there long enough to be able to figure out how to do it on a long axis. But on a short axis, I can basically switch off from everything that's happening around me and basically leave my body, as in it's really bizarre, but actually live in my mind and to be able to be at peace. So when anything crumbles around you, I wouldn't have any worries. I wouldn't have any fear. I would just be living in here. So that for me was amazing. The way these guys meditate and the way they focus on just their thoughts and they control their thoughts, it really helped me. So with that, I came back and I was refreshed. And I still remember that day. I said to my mother, I said, look, actually, she said to me, so what are you going to do now? And I said, well, here's the thing. I'm right on the ground now. I'm at the bottom. I can't go any lower. The only place to go is up, right? Yeah, exactly. I can only go up. I can't go any lower. So then she says to me, so what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. She said, look, here's the thing. She said to me, just because you don't have the fancy cars, the mansion, the bank accounts, what you have is here, right? It's in here. And she said to me, I'm sure that you can do whatever you've done before. I'm sure you can do it again. So for me, it was like, okay, look, let's think about this. What can I do? And it actually hit me. It was like, oh, wow. It's right. It hit me. It's right in front of me. Joint ventures, right? Strategic partnerships. I've done it before. I built a very successful 8-figure to 9-figure business doing that without anything. Let's do it again. So in 2009, I set myself a challenge and I said, look, I'm going to manifest doing $1 million in 12 months. So I'm going to do a couple of deals. How many I need to do? I'll do a couple, and then I will make $1 million in 12 months, and then I will be able to take care of myself, and then I'll be able to figure out what to do then. But I was very fortunate that I managed to do a $1.5 million deal in just 30 days, which got me back on my feet.
I knew you were going to say that. I was like, that's the hell. He'll do it in shorter time than 12 months.
So do you want to hear how I did that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. Here we go. Okay, so as always, what happens is when you vibrate, we're all made of energy, right? Which is what my belief is. And when you vibrate at a certain level, your awareness spikes. So one of the things that I managed to do is I can see 360 degrees. So for example, I train a lot of certified joint venture brokers around the world to do what I do. And when I train them, especially on the mindset side, they curse me because they say, oh my God, I can't believe I shouldn't have come on your program, or I shouldn't have done your training, because everywhere I go now, I see opportunities and my radar is like this. And it's like, I just can't help it. I'm like, oh, there's an opportunity, there's an opportunity, there's an opportunity. So your radar just goes like this. So again, I was reading I think it was one of the Sunday papers, and in the back of the papers, we had the classified ads. I'm a big fan of reading classified ads. I'm a direct response marketing guy. I love reading these headlines and these classified ads. And I saw a one-page ad for a book called How to Use Your PC in 2 Hours. And it was for the older generation market, like the silver surfer market, right? Baby boomer market. And what was interesting was at the bottom of the page, it said in a block, 400,000 copies sold. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. They've sold 400,000 copies of this How to Use Your Computer book. And guess what? My background was in computer training, right? Computer training videos. That was my background. So I thought, okay, this is interesting. So I said, I contacted them. I said, I bought this book from my uncle. He's more visual. Do you have a video version of the book? They said, no. I said, well, look, I've got a video version of the book. Would you be interested in upselling that to your existing customers who bought the book? They said, okay, this sounds good. Have you got it? And I said, well, let me just come and see you guys and then we can have a discussion. So I got a meeting with them, very big publishing company, actually in the UK, catalog-based company. And I got to meet the MD. He said to me, "So this sounds good. Do you actually have the DVD, the video training DVD?" And I said, "Oh man, you know what?" I said, I left in such a rush. I left it in my office. I actually didn't have it. And then he looked at me thinking, "Is this guy for real?" And then he said to me, "Okay, great. Look, if you can get it to us within the next 3 to 5 days, let's have a look at it. And if it is what it is, yes, we'd be interested in doing some sort of partnership with you where we can upsell that to our customers who bought the book." So I walked away from the meeting thinking, oh crap, they actually want to do a deal. I don't even have a product. So that's an indication of when we do deals, I always say, look, the biggest thing is people say, let me create a product and then let me figure out how to market it. The biggest thing is find the market first, right?
Mm.
And then create the product. So that's one of the biggest tips I can give. If you want to really be successful, find a market first that's hungry and willing, and then go out and create the product. Don't create a product thinking, I think people are going to want this, and then you spend weeks on it, and then it's like, oh crap, they don't want it. There's no one's buying it. So I went away. I went to like Office World, Staples. I went looking for this computer training DVD, and I said, I found a couple, how to use your PC and what have you. And I contacted the companies and I said, look, hey, I've got a client and I think we can do a couple of thousand units of this product if we do a deal. Can you give me a good price? And can we do a white label? Can we put it in our client's name? And they said, no, it is what it is. I said, okay, you guys don't realize how big of a deal this is and you're not flexible. So I walked away and then I went online to a website, a freelance website. Actually, nowadays it's called Upwork. It's called upwork.com nowadays. And I put a project there and I said, look, I've got this book. Here's the contents. Can someone create a video course from it? And as marketers, we know how easy it is to do screen capture, right? And screen cam videos. We know that because we're marketers. It's very easy to do. You piece of software, you get on the computer, you record it, and you can create a course. So someone created a course for me. It was exactly based on the contents of the book. I went back to the company with the DVD that cost me $500, and I owned the rights to it. They loved it. The managing director said, wow, this is amazing. It looks just like the book. And I said, well, I said, my team has been up all week, working on it and creating this, but obviously I just outsourced it. So, sorry. And then he loved it. He said, wow, this is great. I can't wait to get this out and promote this to the existing buyers of the book. Then I said to him, look, let's look at numbers. 400,000 people, right, who have bought the book. Out of those 400,000, how many do you think will buy the DVD course? He said, well, easily 50%. I said, okay, that's 200,000. So I said, let's look at in terms of the percentage. I said, what do you want to sell it at? And they said, well, we want to sell it at $19.95. I said, okay, look, let's do this. You sell it at $19.95, but just give me $7.50 for each one you sell, right? You do all the promotion, the distribution, the marketing. I'll give you the DVD and a license. And you can do whatever you want, but just give me $7.50. Now, here's the thing. When you're doing a partnership deal or a JV with someone, always give them the majority percentage because it guarantees, number one, that they'll do the work. And number two, the golden nugget. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I love that. So, and that's what the problem is. A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to give away too much percentage because I don't know. Hey, somebody's doing all the marketing and promoting for you. Yeah, you're doing nothing. If they're doing all the work, why don't you give them a percentage of the sale or the revenue or the whatever it is, revenue share? So they were charging $19.95. I was just getting $7.50. They were getting the majority of it. But hey, I was doing nothing. I was just sitting down in my dressing gown in front of the TV with popcorn, and while someone else is doing all the selling. So we did the deal. They did the promotion. It went out, and we sold just over 201,732. I think it's something like that number. And my cut was $7.50 per unit sold. I made $1.5 million just from that one deal. And after that, I got back on my feet, and that's when I became known as the joint venture expert.
Ooh.
Boom.
Boom. You are indeed indeed. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, that you have an incredible story. And I always say that when, Richard Branson, and now I can say Sohail Khan, because you've gone through it, you've gone from breakdown to breakthrough.
Correct.
If you lose it all, you've got this.
Yes, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This, and the heart as well. I always feel like it's the head,
definitely.
the heart.
But I'll tell you what is interesting. After that, I got invited to speak at a lot of events around the world. I spoke at events where there was 5,000 people in a room. I met a lot of people who crashed during the last recession, but they never recovered. So I think it is a lot to do with mindset also. People will come up to me and say, you know what, I love your story. I'm really happy that you made it back. We were in a similar position. People lost 8 figures, 9 figures, and they were like, we're still struggling to find a way back. So, not everyone makes it. And it's like, I think you're right. I think it is quite unique, for entrepreneurs to go through that cycle, to make millions, lose millions, then make it again. So it's a lot to do with mindset and grit as well, perseverance and belief, your belief system. People ask me, what was it that helped you? And it's got to be, whether you have a spiritual or religious belief, you have to have a strong belief system, something that you can hold on to when everything around you is crumbling. If you don't have that, then you yourself will crumble. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, definitely. From hearing your story, what's shouting out at me is that you have an ability to listen to that inner voice that's not shrouded by fear. It's the guidance, tapping into
Correct.
the universal, whether you call it God, the universe, and that guide that has guided you. And it guided you to go to the monastery where you could breathe, where you could just be. And maybe sort of have things settle so you could have a lot more clarity. So I see that has helped you not just then, but even before. Because one of my questions is like, how do you see all these opportunities? There's a way you're being that enables you to see things that other people
and
aren't.
I think also you get back what you put out. So I always put out a lot of energy. And people know me for that because I always try to help first. So that's how I get more opportunities, because people see that, how genuine I am. And then when I do other people favors, it's called the law of reciprocity, right? And it's something, there's a book called Psychology of Influence by Robert Cialdini. And in that, he talks about something called the law of reciprocity, which means that as human beings, we are always reciprocal when someone does something for us. And most people do that. If you did something for me, I would do as much as I can to reciprocate and do something for you. So law of reciprocity, that one.
Yeah. And even though we haven't got time, I feel like we need to have another interview where we deal with just the mindset, because I love talking or everything around that. But also it's not just the thoughts, it's the feelings, the energy we give out, because that's what people receive in energy. It's the same with speaking.
Definitely.
People receive our energy and then we get it back, tenfold. So beware of the energy you're giving out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Sohail, I could literally carry on. We've gone way beyond my usual half an hour. I could carry on.
That's fine. Yeah, we can talk all day, and I would really, I would relish that at all. Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately we are going to close. So before we do, like you shared so much that I'm going to watch this back, and I'm sure those listening are going to listen to this back again and again, because there's so many golden nuggets dropped. So what's next for you? What are you up to next?
Good question. And I'll tell you what I was up to next was basically retiring for good, hanging up my spurs. Yep.
Oh, you're too young for that.
And just focusing on building my foundation. But Clubhouse happened. I came so close to walking away from social media. I was like, oh, I've had enough of this, as you do. And then Clubhouse came. Yeah, Clubhouse came, and I was back in. I was like, oh God, I can't get out of this now. It's like, pure FOMO, fear of missing out. I need to be there in Clubhouse. So Clubhouse happened. Basically, that's what happened. I was very close to just going back into the shadows and just putting my head down and focusing on my foundation. But then, Clubhouse. And with Clubhouse, more happens. You've got collaborations, I've got speaking events, I've got speaking engagements. I'm like, oh, you're trying to get me back out there, this is crazy.
The
But no,
world
I'm
says
enjoying
not
it.
yet. The world
Yeah,
says not yet if you're retired. But very
yeah.
quickly, just share what is your foundation?
Well, I'm in the process of setting it up right now, so I'm just doing a bit of research to find out the best way to do it. I have holdings over in the Middle East and in Asia, so we're just trying to figure out the best way to incorporate that. But yeah, I want to give back, because I spent a lot of time building wealth. And I do give back. I do get involved in charitable events, but I want to do something more sort of prolific, to be honest with you, and focus my time on doing that. So yeah, I'm just talking to a few of my mentors. I have some great mentors who have foundations themselves. So we're just trying to figure out the best way for us to work together. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Oh, wow. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that as well. So watch
Thank
this
you.
space. And what's the best way for people to keep in touch with you and
Sure,
find you, whether it's on Clubhouse or
definitely.
elsewhere?
Well, on Clubhouse, if you just type in the Joint Venture Expert, you'll find me. To be honest with you, if you just type in the Joint Venture Expert into Google, you'll find me everywhere. So, you can come and see me on, follow me on Clubhouse. It's at Sohail Khan. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Facebook, it's facebook.com/the JV guy. But one thing I can do for everyone listening is I have a book that I wrote with one of my mentors, Jay Conrad Levinson, the guy who invented guerrilla marketing, who passed away in 2014. And it was the last book that he wrote and co-wrote. So we wrote that together before he passed away. And I like to give everyone a free copy of that. So if you go to freejointventurebook.com, it's normally $20 on Amazon, but go to freejointventurebook.com. You can download the book down. It's got loads of more stories, case studies, tools, templates, agreements, scripts, and things that you can use to do your own $1 million joint ventures. So I hope that helps.
Oh, that's very generous. See, such a giving spirit. See that
I'm
giving?
a giver. I give and give and give and give.
Yeah, givers gain. Givers gain.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Sohail. Thank you for sharing your story, giving us your precious time, because time is is the most precious commodity.
Definitely.
And yeah, just giving so much value in sharing your story. You are incredible, generous human being. I can feel, your
Thank you.
spirit. It just really shines. So from one heart to the other, I send my blessings to you and your family. And just look forward to seeing what you're up to next. So thank you as well to the listener for listening to this Inspiring Stories series. Hopefully it has inspired you to know that you have a story, and your story is also worth telling, because when you tell that, it lands on somebody else's life and it makes a difference to them. And you never know, it may even transform their lives, just as I know Sohail's story has transformed many people's lives as well. So from myself and Sohail, I actually want to leave the last word with you, Sohail. What would you like to say to the listener?
That's a good question. I would say to everyone that my philosophy in life has always been give first, ask later, but also ask yourself this question. If you knew that you could never fail, what would you do? What would you achieve? So I think try and really build that mindset. Another golden nugget. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I always ask myself that question. If I knew I could never fail, what would I do? Yeah, what would I achieve? And I think that will give you the strength and perseverance and the belief to be able to go out there and do everything. So this is Sohail Khan, the Joint Venture Expert. I hope that helps.
Thank you. That great words to end. So it's Elaine Powell saying from the Mind Speak interview series. Until the next time, take care. Bye-bye.